Okay. I have slightly different things to share, which Rajnish shared. I think so. Maybe this whole journey has been kind of smooth or linear for Rajnish or many scholars, but it has always its ups and downs, and it's never linear. For me, it has always been down, not even up for quite a bit in 2, 3 years. Uh, so I'll just start sharing my whole experience starting from my birth. So you will just get an idea that anyone who gets a birth in a very humble or modest or a place where basic facilities were almost non-existent can still get into a very wealthy or affluent university, or someone who looks like very much like you are, because I had the impression about these institutions that these people look like something. I mean, I had this image of having the Ivy League students are only ultra elite people, but that myth is busted now, and there are so many students from synonymous backgrounds who have made it to Ivy Leagues or specifically Harvard, and they were from very humble and modest backgrounds. So I'll just start with that. I am from Maharashtra, and I specifically come from Maharashtra, that part which is considered a very drought prone area, and which is also so infamous for its farmer suicide, and which is also one thing that I'm working currently. Uh, my childhood was, I mean, I enjoyed my childhood around my people, around the students, around my friends. But if we see it through the resources lens, it was deprived. I mean, it was deprived of many things. It was deprived of access. It was deprived of good healthcare. It was deprived of quality education. Education was there, but we certainly can debate on the quality. I mean, I learned English through Hindi or Marathi, so that was the level of the education there. So we call it the government school. It's called ZP, Jilla Parishad School. So I got my primary education in government school. I was, I mean, I was fortunate to get into a central school, which I don't know you have heard of that school or not. It's called Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, and I think so. I laid my academic foundations there. The confidence I carry now is from that school only. And most of the students in that school were from my background, from very synonymous background, and they were all talented. I sometimes refrain to use talented or meritorious word, which is arbitrary and which on which we can debate. But these students were chosen. I mean, we were around 80 students from the districts gathered at one place, and everything was free there. I mean, starting from morning's brush to every facility was given to us was free, and they tried to instill all the values, all the skills which are not given to rural students. So I feel so. I still feel so that all the academic foundations I could gain, or all the extracurricular activities I could do, it is just because of that school. And I mean, I feel grateful for that, and it's still it is luck that you get into that school, because there are only 80 vacancies, and um, all talented students cannot get in that school. But I mean, yeah, I just feel lucky about that, and I also got to know that there are many students who are coming from very synonymous backgrounds and having big goals. But I wasn't like Rajneesh. I was a backbencher. I never came in top 20 or top 30 students of my batch. I used to be in last 20 or last 30. It was then when I chose humanities, which I liked, and then I used to kind of come into, we can say, the cream students or top two or top three students. But I was never a brilliant student in my school. The brilliant students who got into IITs or who got into medical sciences, they were kind of cream cream students of my school and who could make it to US before me or are doing some great work or great jobs across the different fields through from the administration to uh, engineering or corporate world. Followed by my schooling, I went to Pune. There is a college called Ferguson College, which was again so much elite for people like us. But my journey with struggle started from my college because getting into education like Ferguson or like a city like Pune was difficult for people like us. Staying there for 3 years was a big deal. So I applied to hostel and I did not get it. And hostel was the only way to stay in a city for 3 years. So I had to kind of struggle for around 6 months. I had to agitate against the government, against the administration, and fortunately, I got in. After 6 months, I got the government hostel and I could sustain for it. It's kind of, I mean, it's a pass to stay in big cities. We get to stay for free, and I used to also get a stipend of around 800 rupees per month, which was huge at that time. I used to get monthly pass from my hostel to college. So I just used to feel happy for 800 rupees. And there were so many shocking things when I went to Pune. There were some cultural shocks. And it was the first time where I felt that the higher education is not for me because although I had a good academic foundations, I had some dreams, but I had also seen some students in my class who were coming from a very different background, which I until that point I didn't see these kind of affluent students around me. So I thought it's only their thing. And unlike any other student, I had a dream of getting a decent, good job, a good government job. So I prepared for quite a few and made it through many exams, but I could not make it to the final list. So I was planning on my option B, so getting a master's. It was a COVID, which gave me a lot of time to think about career, think about the options, think about the competition, and getting out of this cutthroat competition which Indian exams have or which Indian academia have. But while doing my graduation, I got involved with many activities. So I studied in Navodaya where we were focused on curricular and extracurricular activities as well. So I was a good sport player. So I continued that in my college. So that was one of my options that I can make my career in sport, but again, which needs a lot of network and a lot of money, and you get retired at a very early age in sports. So I scrapped that idea when I was in school, but I continued that as a hobby and ex- as an activity which would give me an exit through the academics. But yeah, I was talking about the lockdown period. So it was that time when I thought that I'll start preparing for my abroad application journey. So it's I feel so it's a long back, but I applied to the London School of Economics in 2022. It was the school where I badly wanted to go. I because Dr. Baba Sahib studied there and he is a kind of inspiration for me and for many of us. So I badly wanted to go there. And I could get through the school, but the scholarship did not follow. Oh, I'll tell you about the scholarship which I got now is Maharashtra government scholarship, and many government scholarship has their own administrative hurdles. It's red tapeism, and this bureaucracy kills many of the scholarships. So in the very first year, I did not get the scholarship, and in the very next year, I applied to Chevening Commonwealth. Every possible scholarship which is available there in market, every possible university. I mean, I think so. I'll be the most useful resource person to students because I have applied from Tokyo University to Stanford, and I got into almost all of them. Not almost, but all of them. Now I feel so that getting into university is not a big deal, but the big deal is getting the fully funded scholarship. And that's why I feel so respect about the students who gets through the scholarship because these scholarships are so competitive. I mean, sometimes not even 1% students get through the final list. So I also have the experience of Erasmus applying tuning or Commonwealth or Fulbright or Erasmus Mundus. Although I did not get any of the scholarship, but I have the experience. Yeah, yeah. So I have experience of applying and failing. So initially, I read this session is about achievers. So I am also curious that we should call it achievers or something like that or not. Uh, my story is just a story. I mean, it is it is just a life story with confusion, self-doubt, luck, struggle, and many questions or many unanswered questions. Yeah. Uh, so I'll take you through my journey. So it started with LSE, and in the very first year, I got failure because of the scholarship. In the very next year, I thought let's level up since I already got into LSE, and which gave me little confidence. And they also offered me some partial scholarship, but which was not enough to sustain in UK. And also, London is a very costly city, one of the costliest city of the world. So I could not make it through. But next year, I thought let's level up, and I applied to Howard, but I wasn't that much confident enough that I'll get into Howard or not. So I tried to find a course which is finely suitable to my background. So I have done my bachelor's in economics and my master's in education. So I thought of applying for education policy, which had some components from economics and which had some components from education as well. So I thought it's a best suitable course, and I am the best suitable candidate for that course. And I put it my heart out. I put my heart out, and that application took 3 4 months building narrative around that application. And fortunately I got through. It was March 2024. I got in Howard Graduate School of Education. But again, the scholarship did not follow. The university which offered, again, the partial scholarship, which wasn't enough to cover the whole tuition and the living expenses as well. Again, the Boston and the area which I am living right now is again brutally costly. Uh, and also, it was the election period in the general election period in that time. Eventually, I got the scholarship from the Maharashtra government, but it was around 2 months late, and it was the same time when I faced a terrible health emergency at my home, so I had to scrap that idea of going abroad. And again, the dream was collapsed. So next year I applied to. I thought let's level up again because last year's course was around only for 10 months. I thought of applying a longer course which will give me more exposure or which will challenge me. I badly wanted to come to the Kennedy School, but I just didn't have the confidence. So this time I applied to Kennedy School, and the scholarship also came on time, so I could make it. But there were again hurdles. I mean, there are some aspects of this application which are not in our hand. Like my professors did not upload the letter of recommendation on time. She was on holiday and I could not connect to her. But these institutions are so open about your problems, so open about applications. So they gave me extra time to upload, and eventually it followed. But unlike I was saying, there are many aspects which are not in our control. Like the geopolitics and the international relations are not in our control, and the institution I got in was in tussle with the current regime of the United Nations. So our admissions were in always doubted whether we will make it to Harvard or not. I was also badly waiting for my visa. So it I waited for around 3-4 months, but I could not get any appointment. I had to travel to Singapore just to get my visa done there. I got my visa from Singapore. So yeah, this is also an interesting story. For Singapore, I also had to apply for Singapore visa, then got a Singapore visa, then gave my US visa interview there, got approved it on in between August and came back to India. Then booked my tickets to Dubai and from Dubai to Boston. So it's never linear. I mean, it can be sometimes for 2 years, sometimes 3 years, sometimes lower than that, sometimes more than that. But it's quite a journey. I mean, now I think so. Had I got a admission in London School of Economics in the very first year, but I don't think so that it would have been this much enriching. The experience I carry now, the confidence of struggle or the confidence of preparation I carry now is at another level. Also, when you come to these kinds of institutions, which requires some resilience in you, because I don't have the experience of UK or Europe, but the Harvard is expecting a lot from their students. It's we can say it's quite deadly here. I mean, I sometimes have to attend 6 lectures in a day and have to do 3-4 assignments in a day, and there are 100 pages of reading or sometimes more than that. So it gets overwhelming sometimes, and if you're not prepared enough to study in these kinds of institutions, or if you haven't struggled a lot to reach here, it sometimes get deadly. So I saw the question on the screen. I didn't get any scholarship from the Kennedy School. Now I think so. If I ha- I don't know. I didn't push that much because I was so sure that I'll get a scholarship from my government, my Maharashtra government, and I was
Yeah,
tired of struggling. So
you may
I
wind up. Yes, sir.
sorry. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Please go on.
You may wind up in 3 minutes, 20
Oh
minutes
yeah, yeah, yeah.
over.
I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Yeah. Yeah, Howard has multiple scholarship, specifically Kennedy School or any department. But if you're applying to US, there is only one single big scholarship, that's Fulbright, and which is competitive. And now it's not only competitive, but it's so uncertain. Even if we get it, we never know that the administration will give you that funding or not. So I wouldn't encourage you to apply for that. But I'm also so positive about scenarios. So it's always better to apply and let's see what happens with the administration or not. But yeah, if you're applying to Harvard, your 3-4 components should be 10 on 10, which is your SOP, your essays, and your leadership qualities. And like Rajneesh was saying, most of the scholarships are around your leadership. It is assumed that you have had a good academic background or you have some research rigor, but leadership is that single most thing which can make you stand alone with with respect to any applicant. So I would put leadership on the highest mm, on the highest step, and which we can then think, in a decreasing order. But if we see that if there are 10 parameters like SOP, essays, your English language, your GRE, if you are applying to Harvard or specifically the MPP or this courses which has the quant segment in that, you'll also have to give that aptitude exam which is called GRE, and for some management courses it's GMAT. So you have to again score decent in that exam. If you have math, stat, calculus, or econometrics background, then you can get exemption from this kind of exams. So I got the exemption because I had that background. Also, you can get an exemption from the English language exam. Uh, I don't know about UK if it is compulsory for visa, but you still can get exemption from that English language exam, which is IELTS or TOEFL, or there are few other bodies which offers that exam. And also, I want to talk on application fees. As I told that I have applied around 25, 30 applications, but I never paid an application because I always email the admission and financial aid team that I cannot pay the fees and please waive my application fees. So apart from Stanford, every single university has waived my application fee, and few other universities did not. But if you push, they'll waive your application fees because if you're applying for 5 to 10 universities, so it will be around 50 to 1 lakh, and we can never bear that cost just on the application. Or I don't think so. It's a good advice to just pay 1 lakh on application fees because there are other costs attached to the application where we should be careful about it. So yeah, build your application, build a narrative around your application, around your story, around your life, around your research topic, or around a question on which you want to work. Show some leadership skill. Show some. I mean, what I feel about Howard, they just want to see how much you have traveled, or how much you have traveled so far, or what style of leadership you have, how much resilience you have. I don't think so. It's only about merit. It's only about your grades. It's definite that if you want to get into any Ivy League, grades do matter to some extent. I mean, if you are having average grades, it becomes difficult because in the end, these are academic institutions. They want to keep their status in the market. So if you have some good grades, you have some great chances to get into these institutions because we cannot go into past and change our grades of a grad or masters. So, but there are few aspects on which you work. So this is it. This is